What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our special guest joining us again, no stranger to the tavern, Nick from the Ring Fanatics. What's up, man?
How are you guys? Thank you for having me back on for, I believe it's the third time.
Third time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One of our early guests too, I think. In the first 30 or so episodes you were on. I think you guys over at Ring Fanatics just celebrated 3 years not too long ago. So tell us what's been going on over there.
So we celebrated 3 years back in like a little bit less than 2 months ago at this point. We back in January, this is the last time I've been on, we kind of like revamped our channel a little bit. We just call it the Ring Fanatics now, not just the Ring Fanatics podcast. We're trying to add more content to the channel as we go along, and just want to start fresh and just keep it as the Ring Fanatics simple and nothing too crazy. But yeah, we also celebrated, I believe, the 100th episode since the last time I was on. And we have a new show called the Fanatic Brackets up on our channel and up all of other platforms as well. It's a whole bracket show that we do with guests every month. So yeah, we've been keeping ourselves busy. So
that's awesome, man. What kind of brackets do you do on the show?
Yeah, it's wrestling based. Everything is wrestling based. So we have a guest come on. They choose a topic, as well as the 16 participants they want to do. Like, for example, last month we did scariest WWE character. You did like greatest faction, greatest tag team, greatest active women's wrestler, something along those lines. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then we just break it down like between the three of us. We just choose we each choose who should make it to the next round. Whoever gets 2 or 3 votes makes it to the next round and to the end of the bracket. So it's really like a whole fun interaction type thing. It's kind of similar to this. You know, everyone has their own opinion to it. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Fun. Yeah.
It's a good thing you don't have Hawk on there, man. He's dumb. Well, man, it's great to have you back on. You're, like I said, no stranger to the debate. We have 3 new topics to get into. If you guys are ready, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. First topic of the evening. Is Roman Reigns hurting WWE's title and storyline with his part-time schedule?
First of all, I feel like he's more like on call. The dude never shows up anymore. It's like 2 months off here, show up for a show on SmackDown, be at a pay-per-view. Yes, he's hurting the title. Like, this is ridiculous. This is like, listen, I have no problem with it in AEW because that's how they established their title. This belt was defended all the time until the last year plus. It is hurting the title. Like, this reign that he's passing all these people now means less to me now that he's not defending it. Get this guy on TV. Get him at least on every pay-per-view. He's not even doing that. Like, and I don't even know what this guy's done to deserve this role. He's not Brock Lesnar. I don't think he's bringing eyes in like all the Brock does when he shows up. I just don't understand it. I'm tired of it. Either get the title off of him or get him to show up.
I agree with that. I mean, because I remember when he returned for like the 5th time in like 2 months. I saw like the belt around him. Like, why does he need that belt around him if he's not doing anything? He's better off without it, in my opinion. You know, he can just show up anytime he wants, do whatever he needs to do, and it'll be just fine. But I don't think he needs it. But in terms of the storyline itself, I think he makes, on the other hand, I think that he's making each storyline much better and must watch every single time he's on. So I appreciate that, because the thing he's doing now with LA Knight, I'm glued to my screen every single time they have every single time they have a segment. So that's must see TV every single time. So I don't think he's hurting the storylines. The title, a different story. I think he's hurting that more.
We have a renegade.
We've got a run in here.
Roman Reigns. He's like, I got something to say.
She shows up more than Roman does.
Yeah.
She thinks he's the big dog. I'm the big dog.
Yeah, because not I'm the big dog.
Oh man, she got her screen time in.
She peeked behind the curtain. Chad hasn't been here for a couple of weeks. She was getting used to Chad being here, and she hasn't seen him for a couple of weeks, so she's freaking
out. But continue, Nick. What were you saying? Because I'm vibing with what you and Tom said.
Yeah, I just think that he's hurt in the title, but I think each storyline he's making much better. Like must-watch TV every single time he's on. So I would say he's hurt in the title more than he is each storyline.
Yeah, man, I feel like this is one of those things, this ebb and flow with WWE. It's like 1 minute everyone's bitching about him, and then they're going to do something, and everyone's going to be praising everything he does. Roman can do no wrong. He's going to break another record, and then everyone's going to celebrate what he did and think it's this big thing. And man, I got to tell you, man, has he earned the right to be gone as much as he is? And I feel like there's a lot of apologists out there. Like if this was going on in AEW or Impact Wrestling, where their champion was gone as little, and I guess people could say he's the blockbuster, he's the marquee guy, he's earned the right to pick his schedule, he worked it into his contract, so why not? But to me, it's like the apologists out there saying it makes it special. When he shows up, it makes it special. There is something to that. But man, you guys were ripping Brock Lesnar to shreds when he was a part-timer. Where's that same energy?
Yeah.
I don't see the same energy. And this guy's there less than Brock. At least that's how it feels to me. Like it feels like he's not there. And unpopular opinion, maybe, I think the Bloodline storyline has went off the rails and has suffered. I don't think it's anywhere where it used to be. I think every week just seems like more of the same stuff. I know Paul Heyman, back when, Roman beat Cody at 39, we're in the bottom of the third. Is that what he said? Bottom of the...
Yeah, something like that.
And I'm like, dude, you guys, it felt like you were in the bottom of the ninth looking back on it, because you've tried to milk this story, and this story has no legs without Roman there week to week to me. I mean, they make Jimmy leave, and now Jimmy's back with them. That makes no sense. I feel like they jumped the shark there. This story is suffering without Roman, in my opinion. Do you think it's still compelling? What do you guys think? Is this story still as compelling as it was?
I think it's gotten ice cold since the whole thing with Jay leaving and heading over to Raw. Nothing. I don't care about the Bloodline anymore. They've either got to ramp it up, or let's just end it already before. Like you said, they've jumped the shark. There's nothing going on with it. I don't even know how they can rescue it at this point. I think it's just time to move on. I really do.
I think they're just milking it out till Survivor Series. And then once War Games happens, if it does happen, that's when they're like, this is the final chapter. We're eventually going to do Jay versus Jimmy. Then once that happens too, it's like, we're done. No more Bloodline. Onto their own things. Roman gets his title off. Now we put that behind us and we're done. But I do feel like that's kind of the reason why, because I do see that happening at Survivor Series. That seems to be their plan. So I think it's just wait till Survivor Series. And if it continues to go after that, then maybe, they got to, wrap it up now. It's getting too long.
I don't like Roman Reigns. And that's, I've just never been a big fan of the guy anyway. But objectively looking at it, it is hurting the title and the storyline. What happened to having a fighting champion? And what happened? Like, why is it that when you get the title, then you automatically almost earn a part-time spot? Dude, you should be ramped up at that point. I don't think, like, going away with the title and not being there, and
two titles.
And two.
They had to create a new title because he wasn't there, as
right.
Yeah.
And this
what they think of him not being there.
Well, I think that here, and this is what I think, man. I think that at WrestleMania, he was supposed to lose that title. And something happened where they decided to keep it on him, and now they're trying to stretch this story out, and their formula for doing this is not having him there. So when he does come back, they can stretch it, because if he was there longer, they wouldn't have anything to stretch this story out. So they're keeping him away for whatever reason. Now I know he's wrestling at Crown Jewel, and he's not wrestling again until fucking Royal Rumble. Like, he's not going to be there again.
He's taking a holiday break, dude.
Like, fuck, man. Like, you are the champion. You need to be there, man. Like, and your champion needs to be in a storyline. And I know that he has the bloodline storyline going on, but he's not there to further anything. You like, there's other moving parts, but the other moving parts to it right now suck. And I'm just not interested in it. I'm out on it. Like, it was compelling shit until now it's getting to be, to me, like the end of the NWO.
It really is feeling kind of like they're stretching it, and it's so thin, because if you think back I would say Rumble 23 up to Mania 39, it was red hot.
Yeah.
Like, it was the hottest it had ever been.
I don't watch WWE, and I watched it for the story that was going on with
Sami Zayn and all that. Yeah. Like, it was really red hot. And if anyone thinks like, no, it's still good, it is not. It has fell off a cliff. And when are we going to start talking about putting an asterisk next to this title reign?
Now,
like, he's breaking all of these records.
Yeah.
I would really like to see a statistician break down how many defenses Hogan and all of these guys were doing in their day when they were on these legendary runs versus what Roman's doing right now.
I love Becky Lynch called him out last week. So
everybody is.
People in his own company are starting to call him out. What Seth Rollins said, I'm not going to be Roman Reigns. Like, I love it. I don't know if that's leading to something. I just love it. Let's just keep calling him out. And again, we don't know his situation, what's going on at home, his health, if maybe he can't wrestle as much anymore, but then take the title off of him and let him just show up for big appearances and do it that way. Like Brock has done since he lost the title, and it's worked.
How old is Roman?
Like, I think almost 40.
Late 30s, I think.
Yeah. And now you're on a part-time schedule? Get the fuck out of here, man. Why? You're young.
I think, well, when he signed this new contract and he worked the schedule into the deal where he got all this time off, to me, that shows he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
He's 38.
Okay.
38.
And going back to what you said, Sneed, earlier about Roman, I think, supposed to be losing it back in WrestleMania, I think. I remember hearing something that, like, I think the original plan for day one, I think it was last year, where it was supposed to be him versus Seth. And then they ended up putting Seth for the WWE Championship or something like that. I think he was supposed to lose to Brock at that pay-per-view and not Mania or something like that. I don't know. Something on those lines. I think he was supposed to lose at that pay-per-view, Roman. And then things changed. He got COVID. He couldn't compete. And then they ended up doing it the unification match at Mania. So I think once that happened, they kind of put themselves in the pickle to be like, okay, now what do we do? You know, yeah, they've had a lot of great opponents to put up against Roman ever since, like Cody, Sammy, all these great people that could have taken the title off of him. But it's like they had their chance last year. Now they're like, what do we do? That's what I think is going on back there in creative. It's like, what's the perfect time? Because we had the chance, now we screwed up. So I don't know. To me, it's like, I think they're just like throwing up in the air, see what sticks.
I think once they didn't pull the trigger at 39 and they saw the lay of the land, they're thinking, well, let's try and push this to 40 because 40 is a big monumental Mania number. And now they're trying to stretch it while still adhering to his contractually obligated lighter schedule. So it's like it just seems like there's a lot of Groundhog's Day going on in WWE right now. I feel like we're getting a lot of the same mixed tags in the main events. We're seeing a lot of the same faces rotated in. This goes even to Judgment Day, where it's a lot of the same people in the main event spot every week, cycled in. It just, there's nothing fresh really happening with that storyline.
Yeah.
And I know there's people out there that think absence makes the heart grow fonder and it makes him more of an attraction for when he shows up. Is there any validity in that? Like when he does show up, it's a big deal. Is that a big enough thing to get behind from a booking standpoint, or do you need a more frequency from your champion? Because there is something to be said about, man, when he comes out, it's a marquee moment. But I feel like even when he's out there, we're not getting monumental moments with him anymore. What is the last monumental match he's had? I'm not like a mixed tag match. What's the last big? Because I can't think of one. The last one I can think of is Cody, but I could be forgetting something.
I think Mania. I mean, he's had tag team matches. Like he hasn't really even defended the title. Like,
what was this SummerSlam match?
Wasn't that a tag team match?
That was Money in the Bank. Oh, that was the Money in the Bank. SummerSlam, I know he defended it. I think he defended it. What's it, Brock again? No, that was last year.
No, that was last year.
Oh man, who did he face?
Oh, versus Jey Uso. How did we forget?
Oh yeah.
How exciting that was! That four of us and me and Nick watched it probably more than you guys. Couldn't even remember it.
Yeah. I mean, I think with monumental moments, having him come out for monumental moments, like that's great. If you're not the fucking champ. Exactly. Like if you're the champ, you need to. I'm just under the impression if you're the champ, you need to be there.
Whatever happened to every 30 days, you have to defend the title.
Right.
I know, right? Yeah. I think I would be fine if he wasn't champion and I saw him competing during this part-time schedule. Because I personally think he does have that Brock presence to him, where you hear Brock's music like, oh shit, he's out.
I think he does too. I think he does too. He's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I do think he doesn't get the title off of him, you'll be just fine. Like I want to be surprised when I hear his theme song. Like instead of seeing graphics that he's returning next week, I want to be surprised. I want to, hear that music.
More meaningful if he wasn't champion and be like, oh, he's coming here for a reason now. What's he coming for? As champion, no, show up, defend your title. You can't keep doing this as champion. We've said it. There's nothing else to be said. Just show up. Do your job.
Especially when you're on this long of a run. It's one thing if he's been champion for a year, but we're talking, what is it, 3 going on 4 years now?
Yeah.
So
I'll say this. MJF is an exponentially more entertaining champion than Roman Reigns is.
Well, I mean, he's working his ass off. I know that. He's not only defending the title, he's defending the ROH titles. I mean, he's working his ass off.
Yeah. So at this point, I think he's a better champ than Roman is.
Oh, 100% he is.
Yeah.
As far as like I'm seeing him week to week. His story is every week. It's about him. That's a lot more to be said. I think they're resting on the laurels of the moving parts.
Yeah.
Keep all the moving parts around Roman. They're trying to keep them moving to keep him and that bloodline story relevant because he's not there to make it relevant anymore. I don't know, man. I don't. It feels like I think it's a bad thing when I look at the way the Cody Roman thing went down, and to me, it seems like everything they've done outside of maybe the Jey Uso match that we just talked about at SummerSlam. Outside of that, everything else seems like that could have happened too. Everything that's happened in the Bloodline storyline since Mania has not needed those titles.
Right.
Those titles are irrelevant to what story they've told since then, where I feel like if Cody would have had that title, it would have freshened up. I just feel like it's getting stale. Like it feels very, very stale. And when it's your top guy, it kind of trickles down a little bit. I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of moving in mud right now. There's no fire to it. And maybe that's just the sign of the time of the year, because I think post SummerSlam, WWE always kind of hits a lull until I think the Rumble. I think Survivor Series at this point is a bit of an afterthought, but I think when the Rumble hits, that's when everything ramps up. Rumble to SummerSlam is always like premier time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's my closing comments on this. look at what they did to the Intercontinental titles. Nakamura had it. It wasn't defended. How did they bring that title back? You gave it to Gunther. He's been defending it all the time, putting on great matches, and now the title means something again. When you don't defend a title, it loses its value. It's that simple.
Yeah, I would say that the title is hurting Roman and Roman's hurting the title. I think it goes both ways in that.
Yeah, I think the title's definitely suffering because it's just kind of being held hostage a little bit. I think a lot of people think that this reign, this built-in reign, lack of a better word, it's elevated the title because of the records he's breaking. But I think those records would mean a lot more, and this title would mean a lot more if he was defending more. I think there's an asterisk next to this title ring because he's not there all the time.
Yeah,
the storyline's definitely suffered. It's been on a downside since 39.
Yeah,
Chad, 30-day rule. You need to reinstate that 30-day rule.
Yep. I don't like Roman Reigns. Does anybody have final thoughts on Roman and the Bloodline story before we move on?
Nope.
All right. All right. We'll move on to the next topic of the evening. What foreign country should host a WWE Premium Live event? Now, Nick, this was your question, so I'll defer to you to go first on this one.
Yeah. So, I thought of this question because of WWE announcing last week that they were going to go to Berlin next year. Bash in Berlin, then potentially do Backlash in France and also Australia for Elimination Chamber. So they're doing a lot of, continuing that format of doing a lot of, international shows for pay-per-views. So there's a lot of countries that I think deserve, they're on that list of deserving to host a pay-per-view. But I think when it comes down to two specifically, the two that I would say should get a pay-per-view in 2025 now, because they already have it for 2024, to be both Mexico and Ireland. I think if they do Ireland, they could definitely highlight Becky Lynch in that, and make her main event it probably. I think that'd be great for their country that they have a, obviously I think the whole, when she held the NXT title, it was like, oh, I kind of put Ireland, a lot of Irish wrestlers on the map. Obviously highlight Finn Balor, Sheamus, if he resigns, I think. That's a great place to put it. Obviously, in Mexico, you have the LWO, a marketable team that's been selling out tons of merch, week in and week out. And then there's still a thing, so they must have some type of, favor against them. So why not have a Premium Live event in Mexico, highlight LWO? They just called up Dragon Lee to the main roster. A lot of luchas coming in. So, and plus, like for Ireland, going back to Ireland, they're most likely starting NXT Europe next year. Keep the Europe countries going and recruit your talent that way by going to these different European countries.
For me, similar. I have Mexico as well, but I have specifically Arena Mexico, the arena in Mexico City, the big fill it to the brim. Talk about a wild crowd. And I wasn't even thinking about, the luchadors on the roster, LWO. I'm just looking for environment because, they announced Paris and Germany. I don't really see any people on the roster that are from France, but they're tapping new markets. There is a lot of people that can tap that Mexico mark. Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, like you said, but I just want to see Mexico, Arena Mexico, just because of the crowd.
The crowd energy.
Fill the arena. It would be insane. Another place I would like to see him go, just because it would be wild to see if, political climate. I don't know how it would work and everything, but go to fucking China.
Yeah.
Like we've never seen like a big, I don't even know how it would go. I know we've seen Tokyo Dome, we've seen Japan, but I know UFC did some fights in China. It would be fun to see WWE enter a place like China or even Russia. I mean, that's not going to happen because, war and everything, but I don't want to go to the same old places that we've seen UFC kind of trek into all the time. Ireland crowds, though, to your point, if you ever see Ireland, during a Conor McGregor fight in Dublin, they show out. So if Becky Lynch took an event there, it would probably be a hell of a good time. But number one for me is Arena Mexico.
Yeah, a lot of Spanish countries have passionate fans. We don't really see that often because they're never there that much during TV tapings. But I think if they have a pay-per-view like just change Bash of Berlin to something, I don't know, maybe do that and then
Bash in Barcelona, man. Go to Spain, Barcelona.
That's what I was thinking. We had this. That's what I was thinking too.
The only one that came to me when I saw this question was Mexico. I thought it'd be a hot crowd. It'd be amazing. I'm terrible at geography. I don't know where they should go, but Mexico, I just know they have. I hated history in school.
Go to Alaska.
Outside event in Alaska. There you go.
I mean, the hotbeds are obvious. It'd be cool to see him in the Tokyo Dome, but how easy would it be for WWE to venture into a place where New Japan has a strong foothold?
Well, so with my answer for this, obviously my number one right out of the gate was Mexico. And I knew that was going to be, I think it's pretty much a consensus between a lot of people that Mexico is the place where the fans are going to be the craziest, and to see it in Mexico City at that arena, like insane. But I picked Japan as the place to do a premium live event because they did that. Beast from the East event over there, and I thought that was a lot of fun. It was basically a glorified house show, but I thought it was fun to see them. And it's just, I don't know what it is for me, but seeing wrestling in Japan, that just seeing an event from Japan, it puts me back to when I was a kid and you had Flair and Tatsumi Fujinami, Land of the Rising Sun. Like it just seems like it holds weight. And I don't know. I would probably be in watching a premium live event from Japan.
That'd be cool.
They would have a big partnership with Japan too, because you had Shinsuke going over for Noah for the Muda retirement tour. So that would be like a probably top 3 places to go to if they don't have it already top 3 already. So that's definitely a top place for a different pay-per-view for a tour.
But definitely Mexico too, man. That's number one. I think that's number one.
I think it would be. I mean, it's not necessarily a place that you think of when you think of wrestling cities, but I mean, the dude's held the IC title for so long. It'd be cool to see him go to Vienna, Austria, where Gunther's from. Austria.
France doesn't have a lot of wrestlers either. But
it's true.
He went there, so he's probably gonna be somewhere we don't expect him to go.
Yeah,
I think this is the way they're going to do business too. I think if you look at the way Endeavor does it with UFC and the way it's kind of like they're globally conquering the planet, like trying to show up in all these unique places. I think that's what WWE, they're going to try. And I know they're already technically considered a global, business, but if you're taking your shows all over the globe, it's a lot different than just depending on international fans to get your product through television.
Yeah. And it's also a great way to get talent too. I mean, if you want, they do tryouts all the time for SummerSlam, Mania. Throw a tryout in France or in Germany. See if you can get the next top wrestler from there.
And it's long. It's a long game too, because when you say you go to France where there's no wrestlers now, but say when they take that show to France and there's a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid in the crowd who sees this live for the first time and he's never seen it before, you might inspire the next generation of pro wrestlers in places that never would have done it before if they didn't go see you live. I think that's a big, big thing. You're growing not only a fan base, but you're growing potential future wrestlers.
Dude, it's so true because here we are, even as adults. When I go to a live wrestling show, first thing I do when I walk through, I just stare at the ring and I'm in awe of just seeing the ring in front of me with nobody in it. Every time I go to a show, I just love it and have to take it in. And you do, like you said, you do that to a little kid that never thought of it. Like all of a sudden, we could be getting more superstars from all over the world and wrestle. It's great. It's absolutely great for the industry.
I agree.
Have they done any premium live events in India?
They do.
I think they did one, right?
Did they?
Or did they?
I don't think it was a premium live event. They go just like a house show that they did in India.
I remember during Jinder Mahal's run, didn't they have something over there? Possibly.
They put the title on him, I believe. Because
I think they were doing business with them. Something
the
I forgot what it was.
went through. Yeah.
They also did tryouts when they were out there and everything. So
yeah, that's what they had. That's what they got. Like Veer and all of them to come through. So
I've heard people talk about how Dave Meltzer was talking about how India, they get really good TV ratings, but India is a hard market because they're not a culture that's built on live sports and attending big live events. Like it wouldn't be as big as you think because they're not culturally. I think cricket is the biggest thing there. I'm wanting to say, like, but outside of that, like if you bring a foreign sport in, you're not going to get. It's not going to be as rabid as like Mexico, Japan, where wrestling is built into the culture.
Yeah. I mean, they've gotten, like I said, they've gotten Jinder Mahal and all these other guys to come through, so they've gotten talent already.
Right.
It's just like you said, Chad. It's like they got to get more shows over there to be like, hey, this kid wants to become a wrestler in the future. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that can definitely help. We've seen Jinder Mahal as WWE champion. Great Khali was world champion. You only have 2 world champions from India. So just
Khali wants one last match, from what I understand.
Yeah. So I think just going to these shows and then like hyping up all these wrestlers from these different countries could possibly motivate these younger generations to want to get into wrestling. That's one way to do it.
I bet Khali would defend the title more than Roman.
Doesn't he have his own wrestling school too in India? I think
so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts on the premium live events before we move on?
I think it's awesome. They're going everywhere in the world. The fact they're going to Germany, the fact Clash at the Castle was awesome. That Puerto Rico event was insane. That Puerto Rico event gives you a taste of what Mexico could be. I think Mexico would be even hotter than Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico has been one of the hottest crowds we've had in wrestling in the last long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I would say I'm excited for future, international shows after.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll move on to our final topic of the evening. Do you agree with Dave Meltzer calling Triple H Booker of the Year?
I would say Booker of the last 2-3 months. Yeah, I wouldn't say entire year, because I personally feel like it wasn't until the Endeavor deal, the TKO group thing officially merged, when Triple H started to book better storylines in WWE. So I think from that point on, I would say, in my opinion, Booker of the Year, but not for the entire year. I think that should go to TK. I think he's put a lot of great storylines over the last couple of months, longer than Triple H has. Not saying Triple H has put in, terrible storylines either. And same thing for Tony Khan, but like in terms of January 1st till now, it's got to go to TK for that one.
I totally disagree with you, Nick. I was going to say for the first few months of the year, I would give it to Triple H. But first of all, we have 2 months left. But AEW, the last couple of months, has been telling amazing
I was going to say the same thing, Tom.
Like, I can't give it to Triple H. Now, if anything, it's kind of, and I still enjoy my WWE every week, but it's faltered some. Like, I'm looking forward to all the different stories on AEW. Just last week on Collision, the ending and all the people watching MJF. Like, I just love that type of stuff. I love everything. MJF's involved and intertwined in so many stories right now. For this half of the year, I definitely give it to Tony Khan. And we still have 2 whole months left. AEW still got 2 pay-per-views. WWE's got Survivor Series. I don't think it's fair to say Triple H is the Booker of the Year yet. Let's see what happens these next 2 months, and then we could go back and see. But, yeah, Tony Khan is making a case these last couple of months to really pull it out in the end.
I was going to say the same thing. I think it's yet to be decided, because if we're talking, Tony's making a late surge at it, but I think January to September trips was the clear-cut front runner. I mean, you're talking about the Rumble, you're talking about Mania 39, the way all that was booked, you're talking about the lead up to SummerSlam. I feel like it started to peter out a little bit since 39. And I think as the storylines have kind of just decreased for me in WWE, AEW has increased. So we're seeing like one company rise. I think when WWE was on top, Tony was struggling through the summer, man. I think with launching Collision and all the stuff with Punk still kind of bubbling, I do think Collision in the beginning was firing, but then, All In happens. But I think the way he's handled the fallout of All In, I think Tony's making a case. This Better Than You Bebe storyline, I think it's caught fire, and depending on how it rolls out these last 2 months, I think it's still up for grabs on who the Booker of the Year is. But right now, I think I would agree with Meltzer. Triple H is the Booker of the Year, but I think Tony has a case depending on how he books these last two pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's very strong. I think it's like if there were like a scale, it'd be like Tony Khan and very, very close Triple H. I just personally attached a lot more storylines in AEW since the beginning of the year, more than Triple H's. And I feel like I said, I don't know what it is. I think it was because of the whole Endeavor stuff that made him you can clearly tell that Triple H fully has control of WWE. You can tell that stories have changed a little bit in the way the shows have been handled. It's different in a good way. And I'm enjoying it a lot more. That's why I said the last 2 months has been a lot better for me. More enjoyable to watch. Not saying that AEW isn't enjoyable. I enjoy everything that AEW puts out every week in and week out. It's just lately I've been enjoying WWE more. But I do think it's very, very close, and I would still give it to TK as Booker of the Year.
I 100% agree. For me,
yeah,
I enjoy AEW stories. It's not even close. I think the majority of what WWE does is just bland. I don't buy into most of their stuff, the way they produce it, the way it's presented. I just don't connect to what they do. I'm looking more at Triple H has think about this company, WWE, 2 years ago. It was bad. He's only improved the product. That's why I would give him Booker of the Year, not because he's telling stories that I necessarily like, but I do think he's turned the company around. From a storytelling perspective.
Let me ask this. Sorry, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't even think WWE, it's not what it was with the stories a little while ago, but it's still really good. And what has improved since Endeavor took over are the weekly matches on TV. I feel like there's been a significant
match quality has elevated for sure.
Yeah.
So that makes the show more enjoyable.
Here's where I'm at on it, man. I am not ready to give Triple H Booker of the Year, so I don't agree with it right now. Especially with the surge, like you guys have talked about Tony making. If we're giving out yearbook superlatives, if we're doing the Booker of the Year, if we're doing yearbook superlatives, I'd maybe give him most improved.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd give him most improved. Now, as far as Booker of the Year, no, I don't agree with that right now. I'm going to have to see how the year ends up. Yeah. He's done good stuff, but to be honest with you, when I tune into WWE, I still kind of see the same shit.
It feels the same.
It feels a lot
from a look perspective. I know they're better matches, 100%. Triple H is paying stories off and setting them up, but the presentation of it, I can't. It's just I can't connect to the present.
Yeah.
It's too glossy. It's too produced. I try, man. I really, really try because there's so many wrestlers on that roster that I love.
Yeah.
But man, the presentation of it is rough.
The other thing I'll give Hunter credit for is he's paying more attention to history and even recent history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. McIntyre not forgetting what happened with the bloodline to him. And I love that type of stuff because I hate when anybody treats us as a fool and just forgets us to expect what happens. So it's another
and
thing.
I think he's putting a lot more women on their shows more often too. So, and I agree with all of you that said that, like, we still have 2 more months left of the year. So we got to wait to see what happens within the last 2 months to be like, okay, it's official. One of these two guys is Booker of the Year. You know, I've also been hearing Shawn Michaels has been putting a lot of great shows in NXT.
Oh yeah.
Don't watch it. I don't watch it weekly, so I can't really say he's not. But, you know, I've been hearing a lot of good things about that product down there. So
he's turned
around. Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, would you put Shawn Michaels on that list too? Like, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Tony Khan, or what would that be? That order? I don't know.
I mean, there's an argument that Shawn. I mean, if you look at the way NXT 2.0, when they did away with Black and Gold, people buried that product. Yeah. And I think he's definitely rejuvenated it. And
I couldn't watch it for a while when that went to 2.0, and then now
recently, it's awful.
Like Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
It was awful. My only thing with like you saying Triple H has put more women on TV, I do agree. He does give them a lot of time, and kudos to him for that. But they're not doing shit. Like they're not there. Like everyone always goes after AEW for their shitty women's division and not telling stories. WWE is just as guilty of that. They have more seasoned, talented women. I'll give you that because they've been in the PC process. They've got, you know, the Charlottes, the Baileys, the Beckys, all of these great Rhea, all of these great women, and they just picked up Jade. But tell me the last big, compelling women's storyline in WWE. None. Yes. When has there been even Rhea? Rhea's awesome, but her storyline is tied to Dom and Judgment Day. It's not tied to some monumental, memorable feud she's had. I mean, she had a great, arguably one of the best women's matches of the year against Charlotte at Mania. But was the story and the feud behind that match really that interesting? No, the match was phenomenal, but the story leading up, they don't. So I hate when like people want to pick apart certain promotions and the way they treat their women. Dude, the top 2 American promotions do not handle women's wrestling great.
Impact does a lot better job than both.
Impact's the best. Yeah. And honestly, he will never get the love because I don't think anyone gives love to Scott D'Amore. Yeah. But in my opinion, Scott D'Amore should be in the running for Booker of the Year. The way he had a champion like Josh Alexander go down and he had to pivot and make something out of nothing. He puts the strap on Steve Maclin, who was just a guy in WWE.
Yeah.
He made him into a legit dude for a couple months. And then he throws the strap on Motor City's Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, and makes him a viable champion. Hats off to Scott D'Amore. They will never give that Booker of the Year to him because I just don't feel like the talking heads respect Impact enough. But he's got to be in the running just as much as any of the other names we've mentioned.
And to bounce off you, like I don't think that Impact is on the same platform as WWE.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
That's also a disadvantage for them. I feel like once TNA comes back in January, I feel like things are going to change for them. That's when they're going to get off platform. Yeah,
they need to get off access.
Yeah,
exactly. They need to start going to bigger arenas, bigger crowds, bigger stadiums.
You need to go live. That's the big thing. The show needs to be weekly live instead of taped.
Exactly. Huge, it still feels like glorified house shows to me. I love what I'm seeing on TV, but it just feels like I'm watching a house show. Give it a bigger stage to it. Like it was
stories, though. The story.
Yeah.
Colton on our show Brace for Impact Thursday nights, he says it best. Impact Wrestling is the most consistent wrestling product. The peaks and the valleys, like the peaks aren't as high as WWE and AEW, but the valleys are not as low as WWE and AEW. It stays steady. Like they're not going to take you to the mountaintop like a Mania event, but they're not going to drop you down in the bottom like some shitty booking. They are very consistent and very rewarding 2 hours of TV every week.
Yeah.
Tom, are you watching this? Like,
well, my laptop's down here, my camera's up there. So
my camera's over here, but I'm looking down here.
I saw it myself, and it's annoying me. So I have to get a box under here for next week.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts on the Booker of the Year
If I'm awarding the Booker of the Year right now, I think the two front runners are Shawn Michaels and Scott D'Amore, just for what they've done. They don't have the reach. They don't have the eyes on them that WWE and AEW have, but it shouldn't always go to the people with the best reach. The award is Booker of the Year.
Yeah.
However many people are watching you should not factor into that. Who is booking their company the best? And I think right now, Scott D'Amore and Shawn Michaels are booking those promotions better.
And they don't have the big time names and the budget to do the stuff the other shows do. So that says a lot.
Exactly.
It makes it all the more impressive, for sure.
And for specifically Triple H, from what Dave Meltzer said, I'll just wait for the last 2 months in order to consider him the Book of the Year. I can't make that judgment right now.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, we have a round robin question we're going to move to. So real quick, we'll do you don't have to go into it. If you want to just give your answer, do that. If you have a short thing to say about it, do that as well. Here we go.
Round robin.
Buy or sell, CM Punk could be the man in the devil mask.
All right, I'm taking 30 seconds. The greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world that he did not exist. People are wondering why.
There we go.
Put the tinfoil hat on, Tom.
Dax copyrighted CM FTR after Punk was gone, and people are wondering why. Unfortunately, it's a huge sell for me, and as much as I would love it to happen, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would have gone through all this drama just to be like, oh, it's CM Punk. You know, like I wouldn't be as interested as people are making it seem. For anybody else that's on the roster right now in AEW than CM Punk, it just wouldn't be as big of a deal.
I'll say this. The other thing I forgot that I wanted to say is they have that video footage also of Tony Khan coming out and talking about Fire and CM Punk and how they had him let him go and how great would that look in packages if he really is the devil.
What do you think, Sneed?
No, he's not. Because here's the thing: if they did that, that would take balls in your booking, and that's something, you know. If they pulled this, you know, and I've thought, you know, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled. Like, I get all that, man, but there's and prove me wrong if it is, but I think that would take a level of balls in your booking that nobody has to do.
100%.
So I'm completely 100% no on this.
We always talk about, man, all this like kayfabe really tricking the fans booking. Triple H, Scott D'Amore, Shawn Michaels, Gato in New Japan, Tony Khan, Court Bauer in MLW, Billy Corgan in NWA. Nobody has the balls to do something on this level. Fans always fantasy book this shit, but it never happens. I would love it to happen.
Yeah.
Not to have CM Punk back.
Yeah.
I could care less if he's there, but just this sheer shock of everyone thinking, man, he got fired. He's done. All the rumors. And then if the dude took the mask off and it was CM Punk and you reignited his feud with MJF, people would shit their pants. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If it was him, this could go down as one of the best stories ever because we'd be shocked and it could just play out so awesome if they did it right. Unfortunately, like you said, I don't think they have the balls to do it, but it would be amazing.
And the only way I would want it to happen is if all the backstage drama at All In and all of that stuff was all a put on.
Yeah.
If everybody, but I wouldn't want to bring him back, even if they could bring him back, if it meant locker room drama, he's back. I don't want him because I feel like they finally moved past it. The locker room seems to be vomiting. I don't want to bring the poison back in, but if this was all a big giant kayfabe ploy that they had constructed, man, it would be awesome.
That'd be great.
But it's not.
And prove me wrong, man. I'm saying prove me wrong if and I'll be happy that it happens. But at this moment, at 7:55 on November 1st, I'm saying not a fucking chance, man.
I hear Matt from Extra Cooler yelling, but they keep mentioning him on Raw using those.
They keep making references. Yeah. And again, I know people saying like third time's the charm and all that stuff. third time wouldn't be the charm for CM Punk, in my opinion.
No.
One of you said,
he's had way more than 3
past it.
chances in his career, and he's still.
Yeah.
I want to see him in Impact. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Me too. I'd rather see him go in TNA.
I would love to see that.
And they moved past all the drama. They don't need to bring him back and then
100%.
potentially get into more drama. Just leave it alone. But I do agree with what we guys said. Like I would love it for other people's sakes, not mine.
Yeah,
I would want to see what other people would think about it, but I wouldn't be happy about it myself.
Okay.
And don't you think that if he was going to be gone, or if this was a big ploy, that Jungle Boy would at least be involved in something?
That's also what I was thinking. I'm like,
No.
what if this is like?
Are they keeping him off TV to make this story viable? That's another big balls thing.
No, like what if this is all like a plan? What if it is kayfabe, the whole all-in thing, to where CM Punk is the guy under the mask, but and his people that are attacking Jay White that one time was like Jungle Boy, Miro,
God
people
damn.
that got beef with him. You know what I mean? It's like, what if that's all like a storyline? We don't know that. But I don't
That's
know.
what I love about pro wrestling. It brings the brings the Alex Jones out in everybody.
My creative mind is like, this could happen.
So before we go, since we all do not think it's CM Punk, go around the horn and just everybody say who they think it is.
Adam Cole.
Adam Cole too.
I was gonna say either Adam Cole or Britt Baker.
Britt Baker. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I really think Britt Baker. That's honestly one of my choices.
That's interesting.
Hey, that'd be fun.
I say
that would be a swerve. That would be a swerve.
I think Adam Cole's foot is fine. I don't think he had surgery.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
I think he's hurt, but I think they're milking this storyline.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
yeah. I think it was supposed to happen.
It can't be anyone else to me. I think anyone else is a letdown. I've heard Jungle Boy. I've heard, all the other theories. I don't think there's one person out there that would, because you really run the risk if it's not Adam Cole and you pull out someone, you have to do something big or it's going to be a letdown.
Storyline wise, Adam Cole makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, think of what that does for MJF is in his face spot. It just elevates him even more.
Because they're saying he has no friends and he's got this one friend. And if that one friend stabs him in the back,
yeah,
genius.
Yeah. Maybe it's Ric Flair. All right, guys. All right, Nick, man, it's been great having you back on. Let everybody know where they can find you and everything that's going on with Ring Fanatics.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys had me on. I appreciate you guys having me back on. It was a great conversation and very fun. But yeah, as you see on the screen, at the Ring Fanatics on Instagram, X, find us there. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Just search in the Ring Fanatics. You'll find us there. And we usually release the Ring Fanatics podcast every Friday afternoon at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we do the Fanatic brackets once a month. We usually do it like towards the end or middle of the month on a Monday night at 7 p.m. I don't know when this is coming out, but I don't know if we're gonna have the bracket episode out yet. So Sunday night and Monday morning audio. Okay. So yeah, it'll be on. We'll have the bracket episode after that. It'll be the greatest active male wrestler featuring Devin. He goes by Devin the Tribal Chief. Yeah. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been great having you on. That is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are heading over to theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Tom, you and your brick wall, man. Get your shit in.
POD Fig Kid, Twitter and Instagram. Big night with me and Mike Belcaster every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern.
All right. Court is dismissed.